On the Charles for our final race of the day here on the Ivy League Digital Network with Austin Meyer, Bill Spalding, glad to be with you. It's the Bigland Bowl race, first varsity between Harvard, Dartmouth, and MIT. Harvard has dominated the Bigland Bowl, 53 all-time wins, just 4 for Dartmouth, just 5 for MIT, and Harvard has taken home the last 8 Bigland Bowls as well, but you always want to keep that hardware in the boathouse.
Yeah, you certainly do, and here we have the big show with the big green and their yellow M-Pocker. It's interesting to see. When I was rowing, we had the only M-Pocker in the league, but now it seems to be a pretty standard boat.
Harvard, the last team to arrive to the stake boats. They'll be at the top of your picture. MIT will be in the middle, and Dartmouth will be at the bottom. Harvard is 3-1 this year. They have wins against number 6 Penn, number 7 Columbia, and number 9 Georgetown. Their only loss to number Secretary of the Navy final in San Diego 2 weeks ago. They won the Secretary of the Navy final 2 weeks ago. Dartmouth 1-1 this season, lost to Princeton, beat Delaware last week. That was that crazy race that saw Dartmouth's coxswain Kelsey Biddle somehow save second place when they got debris in their steering mechanism. They went sideways. She used her hand to help steer them back and still kept them out in front of Delaware for a second place finish.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they're eager to put down a real piece without any debris in their rudder for this one. So we'll see if there's any fireworks out of Dartmouth today.
Let's run you through the lineups. We'll start with Harvard. Their varsity 8 boat looks like this. The coxswain is a senior, James Dreeben. Junior, Andre Dupuis is the stroke. Freshman Hunter Wallace in seat 7. Freshman Nick Berry in seat 6. So 2 freshmen in the Harvard varsity 8. Jack Kelly is seniors in seat 5. Junior Dan Bridgewater in seat 4. Junior Jordan Rogers in seat 3. James Plout in seat 2. And sophomore David Wexner in the bow. For MIT, the varsity 8 lineup looks like this. The coxswain is Katie Sessa. Stroke is Cameron Douglas. Then it's Jeremy Stroming, Lee Mott, Alan Wu, Hao Feng Shu, Liam Green, Gabriel Margolis, and Jake Ligori is the bow. Dartmouth, mentioned the coxswain Kelsey Biddle. She was the hero for Dartmouth last week. Henry Cawthorn, the stroke, is followed by David White in seat 7, Daniel Perez in seat 6, Will Allen in seat 5, then it's Chris Tinsman, Walter Banfield, Frederick Pollock, and the bow is John Witherspoon. Wind is picked up. It's now into double digits. There is some chop that we didn't have earlier in the day here on the Charles.
You can see the Dartmouth coxswain sitting up on her stern to try to get her point. The wind's definitely blowing significantly stronger than it was earlier in the morning.
This time is not going to be anywhere near what you saw earlier in the day, even for the 4V into a headwind like this.
Looks like the crews aren't quite aligned still.
Yep, still trying to get everybody.
We'll have a couple more minutes.
Set here with the stake boats working. Earlier in the day, you almost didn't need the stake boats. Today, at this point now, this is where the stake boats can really help get everybody aligned properly as MIT starts to move up in line with Harvard at the top of your picture and Dartmouth at the bottom. MIT sandwiched in between.
We have a countdown here.
And here we go. We're off and running in the Bigland Bowl. First varsity race between Dartmouth, Harvard, and MIT's lightweight crews. The story so far for Harvard in wins in the other 4 races today has been tremendous starts.
Looks like a pretty good start from Harvard on the inside lane here. But Dartmouth's hanging with them. Got the stroke seat here with a nice tribal armband. He seems to be kicking this along, although the Whitecaps look like they're starting to take their toll.
That stroke for Dartmouth you mentioned is Henry Cawthorn. He and the Big Green have now lost about 4 seats to Harvard. Harvard has the lead, Dartmouth in second. Harvard already has opened water on MIT for third. Harvard has swept the first 4 races today. They've won all 4 of them by huge margins. Expect the margin to be a bit closer here in first varsity, but Harvard already has an 8-seat lead. What are you noticing from Harvard's group right now that has allowed them to separate a bit here?
So right now it looks like they're they haven't really, the starting rhythm and the rhythm that they're setting now hasn't changed too much. It wasn't overly aggressive in the beginning, but it certainly hasn't taken any shift, any drastic shift down, and that's really what a good start is one that gets you into your pace and then allows you to sustain that pace. Whereas, perhaps MIT and Dartmouth had good starts, but as they started to settle down, their boat speed wasn't able to be sustained as well as Harvard is with theirs.
Through the first 500 in an unofficial split of 129, 20 seconds further along, Harvard keeps its lead. Open water, about a length and a half back to Dartmouth. Dartmouth has 7 seats on MIT for second. Well, this is Harvard's quest for a 9th consecutive Big Lynn Bowl, and they've gotten off to a strong start over the first 750 meters separating here.
Yeah, they did a nice job in this first 500, and then the second 500 is really where you want to make sure that you're in your pace, you haven't let off the gas, but you're going to get ready for that big shift in the second half of the race where the race generally restarts.
Harvard finished 6th last year at the IRA Nationals. They won the team final at Eastern Sprints, off to a 3-1 start this season with their lone loss coming to the #1 team in the nation, Cornell. And with a schedule coming up that puts Delaware, Navy, Princeton, and Yale on the docket, plenty of work to do between now and Eastern Sprints.
Yeah, they certainly have the meat of the league coming up in these subsequent races. I think Billy Boyce and Ian Accomando have been doing a really good job with the recent coaching change, and the guys seem to be responding well from top to bottom, as is shown by today's results. So I know these guys pretty well. They're hungry. They're ready to start, really making a press for that gold medal at Eastern Sprints.
First year for Billy Boyce, who spent the last 5 years as an assistant coach on the heavyweights team. Harvard heavyweights today, by the way, swept Princeton down in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's a great result for my former coach, yep. Charlie Butt. He's left his legacy with these lightweights, a winning legacy, and Billy has been close with Charlie and has been at Harvard for a while, and I think he's been doing a great job at understanding what makes these student athletes perform at their best.
Harvard has a 2-length lead back to Dartmouth. Dartmouth has about the full length now on MIT. Crimson took a big lead over the first 750 meters. Now they've had that margin locked in as they look to bring it home over the final 750 meters.
Yeah, this third 500, they haven't been able to press away too much. I'd like to see them keep on the gas, keep on imagining those other competitors around them. That's what you're trying to do in a race like this, where you have open water by halfway. You've got to prepare for that next race. That's what you have to imagine yourself.
Unofficial time of 4:20.21 as we come up to the MIT Boathouse, and we're soon to hit the final 500 meters. MIT Boathouse was a scene of a lot of action today, not just MIT out here, but also Dartmouth based out of the MIT Boathouse. Split at 4:45.50.
About a 6:20, 6:25 race, which is a pretty good time for these conditions.
Yeah, into this wind, that would still be the best time of the day from any of the boats. The best time right now, 4th varsity. They won in 6:23 before the wind really picked up.
Yeah, and as they should. Generally, the 1Bs are, they should be about 10 seconds faster than the winning 2B. That's generally how we've seen things play out.
Still that open water lead for Harvard, with the Big Lynn Bowl awaiting the winner. Dartmouth in second. They have opened it up on MIT, who's sitting back in 3rd. By the way, that second varsity race, Dartmouth did complete the sprint. Remember, we told you it was too close to call at the line. Official results, Dartmouth wins by less than a seat as they came back from 6 seats down at the end.
It seems like Dartmouth has found a little bit of pace here in the second half of the race. They being up there in New Hampshire, they generally have a little less time on the water. Talking with Chris, one of the assistant coaches at Harvard, he said that they've had a pretty normal amount of time on the water. So, look for them to continually find improvement throughout the season, whereas some of the other schools might have had a little bit more time on the water.
Here comes Harvard into the finishing stretch. Clock ticking past 6:15 now unofficially. Dartmouth second, they've held off MIT. Harvard heading for the flag. The Crimson sweep the day and win the Bigland Bowl for the 9th consecutive season in a time of 6:30 flat unofficially.
Yeah, great race from the Crimson. You know, we're gonna see these guys continually improve, and next weekend should be a great test of their speed against Navy. Navy's been really strong this year, so definitely looking forward to watching that one.
Dartmouth second, MIT third. The Bigland Bowl is staying in Cambridge with Harvard. So the Crimson improved to 5-1 of the season, and as you mentioned, we'll be back with you next Saturday. Delaware and Navy here on the Charles to take on the Harvard lightweight rowing. We'll have that for you on the Ivy League Digital Network. Well, for the entire crew, my partners Austin Meyer and Eli Levitt, this is Phil Spalding saying so long from the Charles River, where Harvard wins the Bigland Bowl. To watch this race on replay, visit the Ivy League Digital Network online at ivyleaguedigitalnetwork.com. This has been a presentation of the Ivy League Digital Network.